That is absolute filth. Who plays moves like this in time pressure against the world number one? Let's rewind here because Hikaru Nakamura brings up the goods against Magnus Carl Vikingson, and it's absolutely unbelievable. This is titled Tuesday, 19th of August, late event. They meet in round 8, online chess, and after the king pawn advances, Magnus gets back to his roots with the Scandinavian defence. We get captures. The queen slides out, knight c3, queen a5, and Kramnik's seen enough after this pawn push.
I mean, d4 move, it just wouldn't even cross my mind. Very often one move is enough indicator. It's just like impossible to find d4. Let's check if it's the main move. It's second line, yeah. No, I mean, one move, clear indicator to me. I mean, it wouldn't even like cross remotely my mind, such move. I mean, even in classical game, I'm not sure. In Blitz, no chance at all. So everything is very clear to me about this game. I report, I block, and report.
Unbelievable scenes. Magnus responds with pawn to c-ships. Sometimes the queen backs up. Looks a bit like a Caro-Kann now. The bishop eyes the lady, but Magnus doesn't care. We don't see any of this tension resolved yet. It's on the way. This is a line, but it gets the question mark because the engine's awful to us humans. Now we see knight d7. The queen develops. Where's that king gonna head? Best line for black is apparently developing here with an almighty whoosh. You should probably, by the way, be seeing a whoosh card up on your screen right now. These are actual cards, by the way. It's called Chess with Cards. You can purchase them. The link's below. They're basically incredible visual cues that you can use to learn chess, teach chess. They come as a set. You can get it in a book. I've got one right here. You can also get it as a kind of card set and a map and everything. Very cool, right? Do check them out. Let's run back. No bishop b4 with a whoosh. We get the knight developing, and now Hikaru unleashes pawn to d5. Now it looks impossible, but after the knight captures, no time to take back. Well, it's pinned here actually, but no time to take with the knight because queen's gonna die. So she slides into c5. You can now pick up some lovely tempos in different ways, but Hikaru does this, not the most precise. Magnus goes with the pawn. He wants to attack. The bishop now hits the lady. Don't Botez Gambit. Another check. Pawn blocking. A6 from Magnus. And the rook hits the only open file on the board. It's where they belong. Bishop e7. Castles. Magnus wants to kill. And after bishop f4, as well as seeing a massive traffic jam on the f-file, Hikaru shows his aggressive intentions. Where's your king going, Magnus? Watch out for this tender square one day as well. That king's not sitting pretty. Magnus plays to attack here. It's an uncomfortable pin, so Hikaru centralizes this incredible white widow spider. Also hits 2 pawns, but this is the one he's after, over here. So Magnus goes for the 0-0-0. Andrea starts spinning the beats. Opposite sides castling. It's so exciting. And before you can say, where would you sit on this plane? Magnus now runs into a space gain from Hikaru. You could just drop the bishop back here, but instead we see queen a4 and it's very offside. Significant advantage now for Hikaru. He drops back here, knight b6, and it encourages bishop b3, which is just really strong. This is how the line could go, and white's doing absolutely great. You can even take this pawn and hit the rook once a pair leave the board. Let's run back. Not played. Instead we saw queen f4. Goes for the checkmate in 1, understands that you can't do this, or else rook takes, and if you're taking here, well, you're soon going to take with check, and the queen's crashing through, and all this good stuff. So no bishop d6. Magnus, of course, blunts things with e5. He's low on time now, so's Hikaru, but this is where Hikaru digs deep and unleashes. Knight takes on e5. Who finds these epic moves? Magnus takes a second and does not recapture. Did not mean to play that rook move so fast. But if he does, queen takes, you're threatening mate. And how do you stop it? Bishop here, you're losing a piece. If the knight back, I never looked at that line, but it looks horrendous. Okay, that's checkmate. You don't have a flight square. So they're just horrible lines. You cannot take the knight. So that's why Magnus takes here. Now it's given the miss, but only if you find knight g6. That is not an easy move to find at all. And the idea is you open up the mate, and if black takes here with check, fine. Well, you can just recapture. Yes, you can block this one for a second, but now you take here with check, because when you put the knight on g6, you intercepted the support of the bishop. You know, this is really the key point. The lines are nuts though. This is how the game proceeds. Yeah, let's just chuck a knight, but it's because you pick up an unprotected rook. And when the smoke clears, it's white that's a couple pawns ahead, if I've counted that right. So that's the best way to go. Knight g6, but missed, understandably. Hikaru takes here, again threatening mate, and don't take here too trigger happy, because you need this. Rook supporting bishop, which then attacks down here and stops the mate. So check is played, king b8. We're back to a roughly level game. I mean, this is peak Hikaru Magnus, right? We see bishop b3. If you'd taken straight away, the queen came in. Didn't want that. Now she comes back to this square after those pieces leave the board, supports the bishop. It was under attack. And after knight takes on f6, what a wonderfully complicated game. The rook saves itself. We now see this one centralizing. So of course takes, pawn recaptures. Both players do some king safety stuff, and the knight now centralizes, hitting the pawn, so Hikaru covers it here. 2 times defended, 2 times attacked. f6 from Magnus, very stinky, never play it, but they're blitzing now. He's got a second 2 on the clock, and they still play another 30 moves from here, just to give you a sense. They're only getting a second back per move. That's called excrement. Now we see the knight spawned on c5, and you do want to go for this one day, right? But Magnus just not letting Hikaru settle. Drops back, hits the queen. She steps to e4, hits 2 things, so knight g6. And now Hikaru should play queen e3 as one of his best moves, because you support the knight and you prepare a4, a5, and if black goes a5, well, the pawn can push or take, and the queen covers the knight. These are the main ideas. But in the game, we saw bishop d5. Looks amazing, triple whammying the b7 pawn, but out of nowhere, Carlsen finds this incredible response, the only move to keep it level. Pawn f5. Now it's a sacrifice, because if you take it, this is the follow-up point, and you're winning a bishop by force. Once the queen moves, you know, you take here, or with the rook. No, knight probably best. So that's the point. You can't touch the pawn. Queen d4, the best response. Yes, you walk into a pin, but then you soon play pawn c4, and you're also looking at the king. Very complicated. But Hikaru plays queen e6, and it isn't good, because if you lift this rook into the game, the queen gets way overloaded trying to stay with the bishop. You know, say you come here, you can attack the queen. Say you come here, then you can sort of trap the queen, force it away, and then land some kind of endgame or even checkmate like this. Stupid lines, right? But amazing at the same time. So that was the best move, but not played. We saw the ladies exchanged. A couple of Magnus fans start bleating. Now this knight could drop back to cover the pawn, but first Magnus goes on the counter. Hikaru responds. We see knight e7, a4 of course, rook c2, and this is the thing. Although Hikaru's got 2 extra pawns and some pressure, a little bit of initiative you could say, now Magnus has got the rook. And that is more powerful in this endgame, as Hikaru sets up the camel toe. He glides on by with the pawn here. Knight d7 prepares to advance the second. Now the rook lifts, hits the weakened pawn, and if you carry on pushing, which you want to do, this drops. Yes, you can check here, but the king can just hide in the corner. Don't step up. Now that one's really not as good, because you can start checking. King b5, bishop d7, takes, and you lose a rook. So you should come here, and okay, stuff starts getting weird. So let's run back. Don't step up in those kind of lines. We didn't see it in the game though, because Hikaru checked with the b pawn. Again, don't step up. Too problematic. Things like knight c5 after rook takes. So king a8 was played. Now the seahorse spawned once more. And after rook takes on b6, you couldn't avoid that, by the way, losing that pawn. You know, if you left the knight there defending, then this one was dropping. So this is what Hikaru went for. Bishop d7. He cementos the bishop. Now king b8 reactivating. And what's incredible is how Hikaru drums up play here despite being an exchange down. Constantly asking questions, re-maneuvering. This is why he practices with Ali Reza, with Fabi. For moments like this, sometimes you got to fight for your knight to party. It's coming to Forktown. So Magnus responds. Now bishop e8's played. Rook f8, bishop g6 going for this pawn a little. And after this one activates, we now see some defense. Magnus is in control. Knight b3, and you're going to see a problem here. Because after all this maneuvering, bishop d5, as so often, it's Magnus coming out on top. Defending here, also attacking the a-pawn, and what to do. Hikaru desperately goes to the rook, saved, knight h4, king defends, and after check, king back, we now see finally the a-pawn dropping. Absolutely masterful technique, incredible game. Hikaru's drumming up the play here. Now he goes to e5. You could step in with the king, but Magnus doesn't want it. This is why he's such a dangerous blitz player. He understands, let's go baby, push him, pass pawns are meant to be. Hikaru gets his running. How well has he done to do this despite being down an exchange? But after f6 check, we see smack from Magnus and resigns from Hikaru. Because you can take, but then king recaptures. And this is the only bishop maneuver to just stop the pawn in time. But then you march in the king. Don't even need to take. Glide on past, win a bishop, make a queen, cut this one off. That's all she wrote. Incredible game. Magnus went on to storm the tournament. They even played in the early tournament as well. I'll have to try and get to that game. Do smash subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a look at the video on screen if you want to see another epic game between Magnus and Hikaru. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon. Cheers.